Hello, and welcome to our session, Crisis Leadership, How We Used Our Platform, Values, and Expertise to Support Our Community. We're in the midst of a global pandemic, the likes of which no one was prepared for. Smartsheet, like each and every one of you, has had to react and adjust to a new world of work. I'm Electra Heldy. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Smartsheet, and I am so delighted to be joined today by Smartsheet's Director of Global Culture Communications, Katie Beaucamp, our Product Marketing Manager, Hunter Reed, and our VP of People, Megan Hansen. Hey guys, thanks for joining.
Thank you, Electra.
Good being here.
Glad to be here.
What we're looking to do today is we're going to, in speaking with each of these three folks, talk through what leadership amidst the pandemic required of them in their distinct roles across the organization and how Smartsheet as a platform enabled their success. I'll pause for a brief moment here. This session may contain forward-looking statements, and any trademarks we come across in our presentation are not endorsements. So our goal today is we want to share with you an overview of the quick business pivots we made here at Smartsheet during the COVID-19 pandemic thus far. We'll walk through some of our key crisis communication strategies and how you can leverage Smartsheet to actualize some of those strategies. And we'll give you a high-level overview into our template sets and how they work. We do have a Smartsheet team standing by to help answer any questions that you may have in the chat window throughout the session. And the four of us will also be jumping into a live virtual Q&A for 15 minutes after the session. So as questions come up, please don't hesitate to ask. So Katie, we'll start with you. Thank you so much for joining today as our Director of Global Culture Communications from the very early days of the pandemic. You've been responsible for effectively communicating to us, all of us here at Smartsheet, our internal teams, and all of our stakeholders, what we needed to know. Tell us a little bit about what that experience has been like.
Yeah, thank you, Electra. So at the start of this year, I was just a few months back from maternity leave with my second son, and finally getting settled back into a routine, or as much of a routine as you can have with a 2-year-old and 7-month-old, and just getting adjusted to having 2 little ones and working full time, which is no small feat. So this is a photo of me embracing mom life, sweats and all in February of this year when things were still considered normal. And like many of you, my world and this new routine of mine changed really drastically when COVID hit. But through it all, I feel like I was very, very fortunate that Smartsheet, both as an employer, but also as a product, really empowered me to be this catalyst of change and have this really profound impact on our workforce during a time of crisis. And quite frankly, I think that's when it really matters most. So today I'm going to share a little bit about how Smartsheet made that possible. Just to get everyone acclimated to how quickly things did change, and I'm sure many of you were experiencing the same pace of change yourselves. Starting in early February, our team was keeping a pulse on how COVID-19 was progressing. We started sending out our initial comms to employees, and we primarily wanted to ensure that our employees were kept safe if they had to travel, especially to a country that was considered high risk at the time. And even though we were keeping an eye on how COVID was evolving, I mean, let's be real, I don't think any of us really comprehended what would happen if COVID made it to the US. Needless to say, in a matter of 1 month, the situation escalated very, very quickly. When news hit on Friday, February 28th, that the first COVID cases in the US were in our county, King County, Washington, and our neighboring county in Washington State, it felt very uncomfortable and very scary. My father has cancer, so I was concerned for his well-being. I was concerned for the well-being of my 2 little boys. I was worried about my grandparents. I mean, we were all just experiencing so much. I mean, there's so much uncertainty, and in turn, that creates a lot of fear and anxiety. And I certainly know I wasn't alone in this. That same day, we activated a COVID response team at Smartsheet to really keep a pulse on the situation And since everything was evolving so quickly, we were constantly staying in touch, literally around the clock on chat and discussing plans for how are we going to support employees and communicate with employees depending on how various scenarios played out. And there were many at the time. The next day, heading into the weekend, Saturday, February 29th, the first COVID-19 related US death was reported in Kirkland, Washington. Now, this is only a 10-minute drive to our Bellevue, Washington office, which is where the majority of our employees work. So not only was it now here in our backyard, but it actually took the life of someone. That evening, I remember I put my boys to bed and I went downstairs and I turned on the national news and I was seeing video clips of my community. It was so surreal. And I was seeing first responders in hazmat suits with the words Washington State emerging as COVID epicenter glued to the bottom of my TV screen. I mean, it was just crazy. And that at that moment, I mean, that's when the seriousness of the situation really sank in for me. I mean, this is very, very real, and we need to be prepared as an employer to respond. I knew that the fear I had, other employees were experiencing as well. And I'm also a very type A personality. And in times of uncertainty, I need to do something, anything to maintain some sort of semblance of control, even though that there were so many unknowns. So what I did that evening, I got to work creating a COVID-19 preparedness dashboard for our employees. And I actually love creating dashboards. So this is not a bad thing to be doing on a Saturday night. And within an hour, I had this really high quality resource hub for employees where they could view real-time updates. They had information from credible resources like the CDC and WHO in order to just stay safe, and a confidential form where they could report potential exposure to COVID. So we launched this dashboard to all 1,600 employees on Monday morning, and the response was so incredible. And to show you what I mean, on Tuesday, March 3rd, we had a virtual leadership check-in with our CEO, Mark Nader, and Chief People and Culture Officer, Kara Hamilton. And even though we didn't have all the answers, you can see that our employees gave us kudos for being responsive and for keeping them informed. And our employees felt so strongly about this resource that they started encouraging us to share it with other tech companies and with our customers.
I can't speak on behalf of other employees, right? I can only speak on behalf of myself. But this was truly, I mean, it meant so much for me, where I'm sitting at home, right? The same way that you're sitting at home, having the same fears, the same concerns. And I'm wondering, are we going to the office on Monday? Like, is that the plan? And I'm hearing whispers that schools are going to be shut down, and I don't know what that means. And I don't, there's all of these questions. And we started getting emails and we started getting posts, and all of the communication that we were receiving was all pointing back to this central source of truth, this dashboard. And we all understood that we didn't have all the answers. The dashboard we weren't predicting the future in the dashboard, but there were resources, and it was a mechanism to let our employees know. And it was a really calming thing for me to go and be like, oh, okay, they understand that we're going to have to start taking care of kids and working at the same time. And here are resources to help you do that. And okay, we're not going on Monday. So we're going to stay home so we don't have to scramble and try and find somewhere for the kids to go. So anyway, I echo what our employees are saying here, because it really was a powerful, helpful tool.
I really appreciate hearing that. Yeah, I mean, looking back, this was uncharted territory for us. But with Smartsheet, we were able to respond quickly and build that sort of trust and confidence with our employees and really be pace setters in how we responded. Our community was the first one in the entire country being impacted, and there was no roadmap for how to address the situation. I mean, kudos to companies that had crisis comms in place in case the pandemic hit. We were not one of them. So some of the things we just had to do on the fly, and we had to chart the course. So in a matter of days, our global offices went fully remote, and the COVID preparedness dashboard served, and it continues to serve as our central information and resource hub for working during COVID and also as we return back to the workplace. And our ability to respond is one of the things that I am most proud of in my entire career, and most proud of our team for doing. Our employees during this time of crisis felt safe, they felt cared about, they knew where to go for more information. And prior to working at Smartsheet and knowing about Smartsheet and using Smartsheet, I honestly had no idea how I would have created and operationalized a crisis resource hub in a week, let alone an hour. So the beauty of Smartsheet is that someone like me, I have absolutely no coding experience, can really quickly spin up a solution, whatever solution is needed, and make an impact at the time when it matters most. So thank you for having me, Electra. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for sharing your story and for your commitment to this team throughout this experience. I love that we were able to use this dashboard as a mechanism to be proactive in sharing the information that our internal teams needed in the moment that we needed it most. We'll talk a little bit more about the contents of the dashboard here in a bit, but I want to back up just ever so slightly. And so you launch the dashboard, right? The employee resource dashboard is live, and you have the thought, hey, maybe we should start making this available to customers. We start hearing the same thing from our employees. We start hearing the same thing from our customers. Do you have something? And that's where our product marketing manager, Hunter Reed, comes in. Hunter, thank you so much for joining. Tell us a little bit about your experience with kind of the evolution of this dashboard.
Thank you, Electra. And I want to first start by echoing Katie's sentiment as well as yours. It's really empowering the work for a business that's so people and customer driven. So I felt very fortunate as a leader throughout this process and very inspired by Katie's work. And, as a product marketing manager for Solution Center, part of my charter is to make sure that our customers, you all listening today, know of our free resources, know of our templates and template sets, and really understands how to access them, how to learn from them, and how to build a strong solution that's built on a foundation of how we think about building solutions. And so it was really, really great for me to be asked to play a part in this process and to curate some of the great work that Katie started and bring it to our customers. So all of you probably know by now that Solution Center is really is our one-stop shop for where you can find and download content. And the special thing about this conference being virtual and this session right now is you can go into Solution Center and browse the content while we're speaking to you, and maybe click through the coronavirus preparedness template set while you're listening to us. And we'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. But that's the great thing about Smartsheet. It's at your fingertips. It's accessible. It's really easy to build and customize to fit your need. So moving forward to kind of my timeline and how I or my team responded to this response, on March 3rd, Katie's dashboard went live, and I received a request from our internal teams to make a version that was ready for our customers. And similar to how Katie has a communications framework for how she responds to our business, I have a framework or a methodology I follow for Solution Center. And that is content should be simple, should be instructional, and should demonstrate the breadth of Smartsheet. So my job here was taking the great foundation and the great solution that Katie spent her Saturday building and think about how can we operationalize this further for our customers. Make it so there's a sense of real-time information flow up to a dashboard. Make it so it's super simple to learn how to configure so the employees in those companies can be informed right away, and they're not going to be spending days or weeks building out something that they're unfamiliar with. So it was a unique challenge for me to think about these components I needed to deliver on in such a short time frame. I live just a couple miles away from where this all started in Kirkland. And so there was absolutely no hesitancy on my part to get started building. And much like how Katie loves building dashboards, I love building our solutions. And so in a matter of 24 hours, I actually had a customer-ready version for our internal and field teams to look over and improve. And this whole process moved extremely quickly because we were able to collaborate with Smartsheet. And it was really, really cool seeing how much our business got behind this. People were responding to emails right away. People were doing their job to get this out the door to our customers. So in 24 hours, we actually had something posted to Solution Center, something that our customers could actually download and use that day. And here's an example of what that first experience looked like. And what I'm showing you on screen may look familiar to some of you, but for those that are not familiar with Solution Center, this is the entry point to downloading one of our solutions. This is what I call a step-by-step setup guide. And it's designed to help you learn how to use and customize the solution. It's written in a way that we want to transfer the knowledge to you about how we think about building solutions and empower you to customize something for your organization on a really strong foundation of our capabilities. And so again, this is accessible at your fingertips. You can go into Solution Center right now and check out one of these step-by-step setup guides to learn a little bit more. Shortly after we published the coronavirus preparedness template set, it was really cool because we saw a great deal of customer response. And our salespeople and our CSM team and our marketing team and our product development teams were all telling us stories of how they heard about their friends or families using this resource to respond and equip their companies with the knowledge they need to respond to this pandemic. And so we all came together shortly after, just a few days after, and we thought about what can we do to further empower our customers to respond to this. And what happened was we created a resource center for our customers with information about how to respond to the pandemic, information about the resources, such as the template set that we wanted to empower our customers with. And it was at this moment that we saw something really powerful happen. We saw so many customers take this call to action and download and adapt and really use this template set to empower their organizations to inform their employees, make sure everyone is safe, make sure everyone knew that, hey, it's maybe not a good idea to come into work tomorrow. Let's keep each other safe and let's keep our community safe. And so what I'm showing on screen here is actually a dashboard widget that I created for our internal teams. And it tracked what our downloads look like for this template set over time. And you can see on the left-hand side at the very start of it, that's when the coronavirus preparedness template set was published to Solution Center for the first time. We had a lot of word of mouth. Our CSMs informed their different accounts and customers that this new resource is available. And then we run some campaigns at the same time. And so we saw a large amount of downloads then, but the huge spike in the middle was when we launched that resource portal. And that was super cool to see because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of organizations at this point now using this template set, modifying it with their own language, putting their own resources into it, using our forms to collect data about their employees so they can keep everyone safe. It was really powerful to think that, starting with Katie and then my modifications and then my team's review, we were able to deliver a piece of content that was being used across thousands of companies and perhaps hundreds of thousands of people saw it, down the stream. So it's really special being part of this. And I feel very empowered by Smartsheet to be a leader through this process. And before we move on, one other trend that I noticed through the process was how downloads of this solution spiked every Monday and Tuesday morning. And it was almost like leaders at these various companies got together and they say, hey, we need a solution that can empower us to collaborate, create workflows and really share content on the fly. And I think they found comfort in Smartsheet because we're agile, we're easy to modify, and there was already a resource at their fingertips that they could start from. So again, it was really powerful being able to help deliver that customer experience and seeing that trend mature over time. So it's needless to say, this did become our most popular and our most downloaded template set, which was very humbling for me. And another quick metric I wanted to share actually on the coronavirus preparedness template set being downloaded, also a dashboard widget. All of you familiar with charts and widgets, I encourage you to go out there and build some more. But this one was particularly insightful because it showed that regardless of a business's size, they found value in Smartsheets. So for the small and medium-sized businesses out there, the 48% of them that downloaded this template set, they might not have huge software budgets to spend. They might not have communication teams standing by ready to, assist in, when a pandemic happens. And so what this shows is Smartsheet brought a lot of value to these smaller businesses on the fly. And we were really able to help them respond to this pandemic quickly without too much hassle. And that's powerful. That's something to say. But at the same time, we even helped those huge businesses out there, the ones that have lots of money to spend on software and multiple communication teams standing by to respond to whatever is happening, in the global news. And so
I feel like this was kind of, to Katie's point, I mean, the pandemic was such an equalizing experience. None of us were prepared, right? And what I love about this visual is that we're demonstrating that this is a how, right? Like Smartsheet is a mechanism that you can use to bring your teams together collaboratively. You can get folks the information that they need, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're the largest organization or a small company of one of like four or five people. You can use this tool, and this is a mechanism that you can use to effectively collaborate with your team.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Electra. It's so cool. And I think this is all underscored by a quote we received from one of our Smartsheet customers using this template set. And it says, "Our executive team has been working on our crisis management plan for this public health emergency. And this template solved 80% of what we needed. Now we can spend the other 20% on vendor management and customer response instead of employee preparedness. We are a small startup, and this really softened the impact of getting the crisis ready." That's really powerful. That's a great quote. The fact that it enabled them to use their finite resources and focus on keeping their business alive and moving things forward amidst the pandemic while preparing their employees to respond to this appropriately is really powerful for me to hear, because I played a part in that. And I know it's really powerful for Katie to hear, because she spent her Saturday night building out this dashboard and inspiring everyone in our organization to respond to this. Yeah.
We have this dashboard. It has this crazy response. We have all of these people that are looking for the tools that they need to navigate this pandemic. And then we start hearing from people, right? Like you're getting feedback like this. You're getting feedback through the dashboard. Our CSMs and our field teams and our sales folks are getting calls, and people are looking for solutions, right?
Yes. And I think what you're trying to say there, Electra, and what it means to me is we were just at the tip of the iceberg with the value that we could deliver to our customers. We realized that through this experience of creating such a powerful resource, that we could do a lot more in the moment. And we were prepared to do that. And what was next on the timeline was a cross-functional team that assembled. So people from our sales team, our customer success team, our marketing teams, product marketing, product management, everyone all over the business, including some of our most senior leaders, came together, and we all worked together to think about how can we help customers adapt to this new normal, this new state of dynamic work. How can we help customers emulate the office but at home and collaborate a lot more effectively with their coworkers? And so what resulted was actually over 65 people contributing over 1,600 hours to this effort, building content, thinking about the different gaps we could fill, the different use cases we could give our customers, how we talk about it, how we help you learn how to set these processes up. And the resulting effort was 50 plus new template sets published to Solution Center. And again, you're able to go in and try out these solutions. There's a recently added category in Solution Center, which I highly encourage you to check out. This is all of our recent effort, designed to help you emulate the office, but at home.
Well, Hunter, can you show us? Could you actually show folks how we can find the Solution Center and highlight some of those specific templates?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I think what's really unique about the specific templates that we're talking about here is that there's, all of our templates, to Hunter's point, are built with best practices built in, but many of these are very specific requests that came from individualized organizations that needed a solution now to deal with COVID. We're talking about like PPE inventory management and stuff like that. So, sorry, Hunter, we're here. So to get to the Solution Center, what do I do?
So there's actually two ways you can access it. First is in the launcher here at the top right. There's a tile for Solution Center. And the next, which is my personal favorite, is the little plus icon here on the left rail. So if you click into that, you're taken right to Solution Center. And again, I'm landed on my favorite category, recently added. I've definitely checked this one out. This is our most recent work that we're publishing here. If you go down and click See More Templates, you'll see all of the recent work that we've done. And as Electra said, there's some really specific template sets in here that maybe might not be relevant, such as health screening. But then there's some really, really powerful template sets in here that can be adapted to almost any use case, such as Team Productivity Hub. Clicking into any of these, you click Learn More, you're taken to the setup guide. Again, this setup guide is here to teach you how to download and teach you how to customize and teach you the best practices behind these template sets. So I highly encourage you on your own time to go in here and find one that resonates for you and really try it out. Download it, know that it's not gonna, necessarily be what you need right away, but it's super easy to customize and personalize for your need. And it's gonna get you 80% of the way there, just like that customer that left us that note about the coronavirus preparedness template set.
If you were looking for that coronavirus preparedness template, if we pop back into the Solution Center, what's the best way to find that specific template?
Yeah, so I like to just pop into the search bar here, maybe put in a keyword such as coronavirus, press enter, and it's going to be one of the first ones that pop up. Coronavirus is such a hot word these days, so we've included it as a tag word in some of the other solutions we've published. But the coronavirus preparedness one is going to be right here. Go ahead and click Learn More. Scroll down a little bit. The big blue button that says Get Template Set Now will actually populate this in your Smartsheet. And then that's it. You have a copy of the template set and you can go ahead and modify it as needed and click around.
Awesome. Hunter, thank you so much. And to both you and Katie's point, I think the thing that the pandemic has really illuminated for me is just how valuable it is to be able to spin up these critical solutions yourself and how these solutions can be used to inspire really true cross-functional collaboration across your company and also across, across sister companies. At our organization, a key component of the success of these solutions and our navigation through the pandemic, that said, has been support and leadership from the top that has empowered each of us as individual teams to do what we needed to support our internal teams and our customers. And I'm really thrilled to introduce Megan Hansen, our VP of People, to talk to us a little bit about what the senior leadership perspective is through all of this. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Megan.
Yeah, thank you, Electra. I will just say, as I listened to Katie and Hunter just now, it really brought back the heat of it all, and in particular, the intensity in those early days.
Yeah, absolutely. We have put together this timeline for you. I have to say, what really struck out for me throughout all of these timelines as we sat down to create them is, of course, the obvious, how short the timelines are, right? Like there's like a day in between many of these content pieces, but also that many of the elements that we have on these timelines are solutions that Smartsheet enabled us to deliver on, right? So like oftentimes we're like, okay, this is when we announce to our customers that we were, that we moved to tier X. This is when we're closing the office. This is when we did this. And it's all updates that are being made in real time to our single source of truth, that coronavirus preparedness dashboard. So talk to us a little bit about how things unfolded and what that was like on the leadership side.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I do want to ensure that I first call out, Katie alluded to this earlier, but we are by no means crisis comm experts. So there's been a lot that we have had to figure out. And I personally feel really blessed for the networks that we've been able to tap into for support. That said, similarly for me, what struck as I was reflecting back on this in preparation for this conversation today was just how quickly and effectively we were really able to respond, and ultimately the power that the speed had on our ability to support not only our employees, but also our customers and our broader community. And I credit it to the fact that we had a really solid footing, both in our values, which guided our actions or our what, and in the use of Smartsheet, which supported our how. In those early days, things moved really quickly, as you alluded to. Within 48 hours, we had not only established a tiering structure for our worldwide offices, from 1 being open to 4 being closed, but we had actually moved all of our offices from tier 1 very quickly into tier 3, which was our restricted access. And as we moved into a more remote setting, we quickly discovered that change was constant. So one of the early moves was a shift to all of our interviews being remote. We did that even before we were shifting in our tiering, because we wanted to ensure that we didn't have any bias in the variant experiences that hiring managers were having with candidates. But in order to do that effectively, we also realized that we need to create some support tools for our interview teams as well as candidates. As a fast follow, we quickly moved all of our onboarding remote, and again, had to create some new tools to support our teams in that effort. Our people leaders were in need of a construct to think about how to support their teams, and we created a Be Human tool set. Our employees, who were also caregivers, as many of us on this call have been, had a lot of questions, and again, we were able to respond. And every time we were able to not only communicate these support resources, but to easily get them into the hands of our employees by simply adding them to the COVID dashboard, as it quickly became a true crisis hub for our teams.
I mean, when you're talking, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, when you're talking about the how, right? As you're going through this list of items, I think it's tremendous just that as humans on this planet, we're making this level of decisions in this shortened, super condensed amount of time, right? Yeah. So we're talking about 2 days, and we're going through this list, and it's like, okay, these are all the decisions we made, but those decisions are meaningless if there isn't a mechanism to get the result of the decision out to our employees, right? And I feel like that's really a tremendous. It's just amazing to me that all of the teams got together and collaborated effectively enough to get all of the decisions made, and then that information got back to the team to be put into the dashboard. The dashboard was updated, and it made it back out to us in this super short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. I actually think Hunter spoke to it really well. I was just going to harken back to that around the simplicity of Smartsheet's functionality. And it really has allowed us to share exactly what people needed in the moment, and to update as often as we needed to remain relevant, which in this case was fast, often, a lot, all of those. And additionally, as you also alluded to, there was a lot of approvals that had to take place. So we were, as a task force, we would make proposals, but that had to go through the full senior team for review and support. And our ability to do that within Smartsheet was key to our speed. We're moving way too fast to lose any time in coordinating those efforts. And so having that all in one place and having those decisions captured, so we could even, reference back to what decision did we make, right. Having that all in one place was really, really helpful as a leadership team.
So Megan, in addition to our internal task force, all the decisions we had to make internally, and the tremendous amount of collaboration that happened internally within our team to support our employees and also our customers, we also did to add to the list of things we never thought would happen. We did some really strong collaboration with other folks in the tech industry, right? And we actually were working with other members in our area to share resources, talk about the best approach, and share information about how to move forward. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, as an HR professional, I will tell you this experience was in welcome contrast to the general pace of the tech world, where the war for talent, if you will, rages on. And frankly, HR leaders are often really protective of the work that they are doing to retain their employees. It quickly became clear to us that we had been able to do something that others were still trying to figure out. And with that, we knew that we needed to share as broadly as we could. And so we did. We shared with everybody. I shared our coronavirus preparedness dashboard and toolkit with every HR professional in my network. And beyond that, we partnered with Madrona Partners in a collaboration that actually ended up being published in GeekWire, which was great. And ultimately, I've established new relationships and new networks based off of the way in which we engaged with our community. And that's been really refreshing and something that we're all continuing to lean on. I think for me, honestly, this entire experience just highlighted the value of having this really dynamic tool set that we could quickly flex and have it be what we needed it to be. It gave us a huge leg up at a time when every day counted. And since then, we've been able to continue to flex the sheets. I think we actually just added some stuff to the dashboard today. We have a form that was recently updated. We're constantly continuing to shift it. And we're continuing to meet the needs of our communities. And we're continuing to stay focused on ensuring our employees have what they need in their fingertips and they know where to go to get it.
Thank you so much, Megan. I know that at the beginning of March, none of us knew what the next 6 months held, right? Or that it would be 6 months, right? We had no idea what the future held. And we're all continuing to live and work through this experience. I'd love to ask each of you, starting with you, Katie, what's the greatest thing that you've learned from this experience that you'll take with you that'll shape you as a professional and as a team member going forward?
That's a great question. And I'm going to give two answers.
Okay, good.
The first one is really trust your intuition and go with it. I mean, if there's something that you intuitively think is going to benefit others, it probably will. So go for it. And second, make sure you have access to the tools needed to actually get ahead and take action on your idea and really enact that meaningful change.
Hunter, I'd ask the same question of you.
Yeah, Electra, I would say the power of collaboration. I mean, it was fascinating seeing how we were able to get so much done internal in the organization, all the template sets, the coronavirus preparedness solution in 24 hours. So the power of collaboration was just awesome to watch unfold, especially for our customers that were able to download these different solutions and customize them to fit their needs.
And what about you, Megan?
I think the biggest learning was just, around this acknowledgement that we live in a dynamic world where change is constant. And obviously the situation with COVID was pretty unique. But what it highlighted for me was really the importance of having that solid foundation for both your what and your how. And for us, that translated into our values in action, plus Smartsheet as our core tool.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy that this session made it into Engage. For me, the tools that you've created make me feel like from the very beginning, our organization was honoring the fact that there is life beyond work and that the pandemic really obliterated the boundaries between work and personal life, right? Like we're all home all the time. Our kids are home all the time. We talk a lot here at Smartsheet about how you can save time and how you can work more efficiently with Smartsheet. But what I really love that we've enjoyed or that we've explored in this session, and what I think is really powerful for us about Smartsheet during this difficult time has been that Smartsheet is actually the tool that is protecting our most important resource, our employees, our health. It's how we know whether we're going in or not, whether it's protecting us and our families, and it means so much to the employees internally here at Smartsheet. And I know it has meant so much for the organizations who have leveraged this tool and are utilizing it as a mechanism to continually communicate with their team. This isn't a solution. This isn't a tool that was launched and then forgotten. It's an evolving mechanism to effectively collaborate with your teams. And I just so appreciate all of you for the work that you've done and for supporting us with that. Before the four of us hop into Q&A, I do want to call out a couple of additional resources that we have available for the folks that have joined us today. We have our Coronavirus Resource Center. This is what Hunter alluded to, which is a single-stop shop for where you can access all of the content that was put together through this effort that to develop solutions for our customers to help them through this time. If you're interested in checking out the coronavirus preparedness dashboard, you can go to the Solution Center, as Hunter showed you, and take a look. The intent with all of our templates and template sets is that you can use them as a jumping off point and personalize them to meet your organization's needs. So feel free to check it out, see what works, add what additional content you need, and leverage it however you see fit. And finally, I just want to give a call out to our community space for dynamic work. This is a specific place within our community, which is a space for us to connect with our customers, where we are asking the question, what do you need, right? How is coronavirus affecting your day-to-day life, and what does it mean to work in this adjusted space? It's a place where we want to hear from you, and other like-minded professionals want to hear from you as well. How are you using Smartsheet? What's working? What's valuable? And what can we do to further support you? So again, thank you to our panel for joining us today. Thank you all so much for listening in on this session with us. And we'll say goodbye, and we're going to hop into the Q&A.